Thanks so much for tuning in. The Hollywood Experience is back better than ever, and we are thrilled to partner with Blair Bryant Nichols, who I'm about to introduce you to, and invite not only amazing speakers from all over the world to join in, but professionals looking to level up their visibility game. Thanks so much for coming in. I'm Meredith Breitstein, and today, Blair Bryant Nichols is here with us. Blair, thank you so much for joining us, and it is awesome to be here in Los Angeles with another friend from LA. Hollywood.
Yes, thank you for having me. Excited to be partnering together here in LA.
Yes.
The relaunch of the Hollywood Experience.
It's back. And what we're thrilled to share with people is that not only are we going to be providing spectacular, amazing video and social media photos with world-class support from stylists, the best hair and makeup right here in Hollywood, but we're also going to be providing people with guidance that has never been possible because you are now here, Blair. And I might be a keynote speaker, but you know the business of speaking. And you've worked with some of the best. Big Speak. I mean, I've always dreamt of working with them. And when I learned that you were there for years, I was already in awe. And now I'm delighted to know that you have your own company that you share with the world. Why do you love this business so much? And why is it important to be visible, Blair?
Yeah, I mean, this is a business that I just kind of found myself in right out of undergrad in New York and started in the publishing side, worked with some of the biggest publishers that became one of the bigger agencies. So I started just being on all different sides of the business to see that I really liked all the aspects of it and didn't think just working at a bureau or just being in-house with one client was all I wanted to do, even though I did that at various stages of my career. But now I love working with all different types of entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, people who are leveraging their speaking for much bigger goals and objectives. You know, I love helping people figure out what they need to do to succeed and stand out, and why I know it's so important to have the most professional looking assets, videos, photos, because that's a big part of how you stand out. It's your image. And now together, I'm excited to be partnering with you, who's an award-winning, 6-time award-winning speaker, who's coaching speakers at some of the biggest competitions in the NSA and bringing your excellence at coaching the best presentation out of them, the best content, and I can help them with the business strategy, the kind of navigating how they go to market with these assets and what they do with it from there.
So cool. And the Hollywood Experience is more than just up-leveling your image, as you said, because it's a mind game. We all want to accelerate our rates, our bookability. And if you're perhaps an attorney watching or a real estate agent, you want to put your best foot forward always, but it takes a mindset and a shift to get into the big game. And you and I have a lot of fun talks about what's missing. I mean, I openly share that one of the best things that ever happened to me was I wanted to enter a public speaking contest in front of all the bigger bureaus in the world. And somebody has to endorse you. And the lovely lady who offered to endorse me, I love just being very honest and direct, said, "Meredith, you are clearly gifted, and I can see that at what you do, but your demo reel is not good enough." So that was when it became evident to me that if you want to play at the highest level, you need to level up everything that you put forward in your assets. It made perfect sense. It hurt a little for a second, but you know, the truth is I went and got that demo reel done, and I have never had a more booked year in my life. I was just complaining to you, Blair, about traveling so much, but then my husband reminds me, this is what you always wished for. But we've got to be in it to win it, and of a mindset that we are looking not only to increase our bookability, but what I love about you is you see profit and opportunity in so much more. Talk to me about that and how we can let speakers, coaches know that there's so much more out there that you can do beyond the stages.
Right. You know, after spending years in the speakers bureaus where we're negotiating high fee, you know, taking our commission, I noticed how so many speakers, that was really their only gig. They would go and they would collect their check and they would kind of move on. And some of them were making even $1 million a year. But over the years, I worked with other speakers and for other companies where they were leveraging their speaking to add everyone in that audience to their email list. And then they would launch a course, and then they would have workshops, and they would have consulting or coaching. They would have a whole different business model. So I learned all these different business models that the other speaker managers or other bureaus don't really touch at all. You know, some of the best stages you might ever be on, you might not be paid at all, but it's the best audience because it's the perfect client for your business. It's the perfect customer for what you're trying to launch. And that's the power of speaking, is helping people figure out how they present themselves, how they position themselves, how they figure out the best mix of products and services if they haven't quite figured that out yet, and then how they can target themselves for the best opportunities where they can speak directly to those ideal clients and audience. And that is the most powerful way to leverage your speaking, because then that becomes something that is scalable, that is sustainable. That doesn't mean that success is only based on how many keynotes you book in one year, but how much money you can generate from those opportunities. And what I recommend is you want to be thinking like 20% of your revenue should come from speaking and 80% should come from everything else. Some of you might like the idea of being on the road a lot, and like to your husband's point, it might be a dream to get out there on stages, but trust me, I know that after you do 20, 30, 40 gigs in a year, you know, the thought of doing any more than that, or the thought of getting out there even more as the only way to increase your revenue, is really daunting. And that's where you're going to really wish that you had other things you were offering, and from day one using your speaking platform to keep building that audience and just keep growing what you're able to do with them.
Yeah, I need to say that I have also coached thousands of people through the years prior to leveling up my speaking. And what I did was taught them how to not only, as you said, create those amazing courses, but also create things like a VIP experience, which is what people will actually feel when they come to Hollywood and work with us on the Hollywood experience, because that is not only valuable for you, but extremely rewarding. For example, I have clients that hire me all the time who want to just level up their upcoming speech. And you could actually increase your revenue at any given time up to $20,000 a month. That's what I've been trained to work 1 or 2 days with somebody who really needs your service. And what I didn't recognize was very recently, I helped coach somebody in North America's Greatest Speaker, helping her elevate to walk off as a winner on a massive stage. And that moment brought tears to my eyes. It was literally more rewarding than anything I had ever done up until that point. So the real gift here is we have a lot of knowledge that not necessarily every speaker has at every level. But it's like, share the love. Don't keep it to yourself, right? Like, this is not about holding back. And, you know, we may be here in the Hollywood area and we're Los Angeles, California people through and through, but our values are high integrity. And we know that if you have a mission that's bigger than yourself, mine, of course, is to help people speak up, stand out, and shine. That's my most book keynote. But that translates amazing into a book. How to be an extraordinary leader that doesn't just rise, but shines. That's coming out. The membership for us that we will have in the future, and the partnerships, working with you, Blair, somebody who knows the business through and through and loves it. You know, you make me laugh sometimes. I also like that you have an intensity about you and an extraordinary passion for the business, and it shines through. And I think that that's what people want to work with. And by the way, we should have some fun now. I didn't warn Blair, but I thought this would be really cool for people at home. Okay, the worst mistakes that people make in the business when they're trying to put themselves out there, I think, is being too bland and generic. I think if you say, I'm a leadership coach, okay, many people don't know I'm a master leadership trainer. That's true. But I teach people how to speak up, stand out, and shine against the competition. And I've developed a 5-step formula for shine because I know there are a million other people out there, thought leaders, who are looking to position themselves for the same work that I get. Why am I winning? Why was I the chosen person to lift the California firefighters out of this depth of despair we've had and tragedy? I think it's because I don't look like everybody else. I'm not trying to be everybody else, but I've had a lot of help along the way. And mentorship and coaching is really what I believe. And quite frankly, as I just shared, straight up advice that you may not want to hear, but need to hear. So tell me some of the mistakes that I know you see. You've seen thousands of demo reels and websites. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, and I'd say that that's what a lot of people struggle with, right? They're coming out of their industry where they're an expert, where they have all the knowledge. So they're used to people understanding their work. They're used to people understanding their title or what their, usual name is to everyone else, and we need to help them with their positioning. We need to help them figure out how they can present themselves in a way that makes sense to the market, but that also makes them stand out, to your point. So not just, expert in XYZ, maybe it's something more dynamic than that. Maybe it's something that really just gets to the heart of what you're looking to do. You can see on LinkedIn the people who get really creative with their names under their names, right? Their titles, where they talk directly about what the problem is that they solve or the bigger idea that they may have. So just helping people, like you said, stand out is the first thing that I think is so important. And I've seen a lot of people who really just don't know how to differentiate themselves because they're so used to being around everyone else. That's one of the biggest things. And that's why the video part is so important. It's like a trailer. It's like a movie trailer where you get to introduce yourself in the most dynamic way possible using whatever creativity you have available to you. It doesn't have to be all straight footage of you speaking. It doesn't have to be media footage, but it can be a mix of so many different things that, to your point, you get to be authentic. You get to stand out. I think the biggest mistake is people just don't have enough assets at all. They don't have enough footage. They don't have good quality footage of them speaking, and that's the product you're selling.
100%.
That's why you need people to see you doing it well, and people pay for what they think is high quality. People are going to pay you kind of commensurate to what level they think that you're at. So getting those assets up leveled, having a better website, having a better presence online, all of that is the biggest thing that I think people struggle with first. And then they just really have to understand the market better. They need to understand how they can translate their brilliance to something that's broader, again, than what maybe they're used to speaking to or the audiences that they're used to speaking to. And when they figured out that that broader message is their mission and everything else, that's where I love to help them figure out then, now where does this tie into their business? Or what new businesses, products, services can they launch from that?
It's an ongoing struggle. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who sells millions every year in real estate. Number one, 8 years running in her large agency and brokerage. And I said to her, why don't you have better branding, meaning like a phrase? Because for her, she actually sold me my home. And what I noticed was she operated in excellence. I mean, I was blown away by how she anticipated every step. She was a bulldog in my negotiating. We had a 4-way bidding war, and that should be her marketing. I think too often in the sea of sameness that I see, we all find ourselves stuck in a little bit of automatic. We might just be showing up, going through the motions. You may have brilliance that you don't realize you have, unless you ask for outer support, someone like a Blair or someone in your industry to tell you, or quite frankly, in my case, a client who's, able to share with her, like, girlfriend, you are not ordinary, you're extraordinary. And that is a playing ground where I think too often it's just not tapped into or even thought about. And I'm here saying, if you want to be the best at anything, if you want to show up and make big money, it's out there. And you know what's so interesting? I love that you brought up LinkedIn. The biggest mistake I think people make is they're not in the right channel and they're not showing up on that channel, to Blair's point, in amazing, clear messaging. So I have had, I would say initially, a really great winning streak when I released that new demo reel. But the feedback that I get is they find me on LinkedIn, they see that new video, and I'm hired. I had that happen twice for national conferences and the highest rates I've ever received. And I don't think it's because I am super special. It's because I put a lot of work into figuring out I do solve a problem. A lot of people don't acknowledge that most of the world, statistically, is operating in what I would call the hamster wheel of automatic. And we're not realizing we're slipping into just showing up, or we may not see how burnt out we are until somebody takes a closer look. But if we really drop into our heart and get out of our head, we know that our passion is what people want to connect with. I am wearing Spanx right now. I am not passionate about suffocating in them, but I want to show up in my personal best. And I might live in LA, but I am not a perfect figure. And so I often bring up things like this in my keynotes, and I always survey the audience. They love it. Why? Because people don't want to connect with something superficial. They want the real deal. And excellence isn't about perfection, to your point, Blair. Yeah. It's about showing up messy, but authentic. That's what you find books, right? I mean, let's talk about what books.
Well, and I just want to say that that is what we're trying to create with the Hollywood experience and inverting the idea of the Hollywood experience. I think everyone thinks that when you come to Hollywood, to LA, you have to, become bleach blonde and you have to become, the model of perfection and you need to ascribe to a stereotype. We don't want you to do that here. We want you to get the ideal version of the Hollywood experience where you come here and we breathe life into you and we show you how talented you are and how gifted you are, and you get to connect with other people in this space, because it's not all about Meredith and I having all the answers and all the solutions. For some of you, it might be about connecting with that right publicist, that right designer, that right marketer, that right someone that makes the reel. The Hollywood experience is also about us opening up our network, bringing our friends together to meet you, network with you, to help also give you other glimpses of brilliance that you can create and what you can do together. Oftentimes people are just missing one or two resources.
Yes.
A lot of you are probably super competent in a lot of things, sometimes sales, sometimes marketing, sometimes content. It really depends. We all have our strengths, and to Meredith's points, we all have our weaknesses and things that we're trying to, perfect, but usually it's better to outsource than it is to just try to figure it out on your own.
Don't be on the struggle bus. I've been there for way too many years.
It's too much. And so I wanted to bring that up because I think that's something that so powerful, and that's the opposite of what you'd say when people come to LA, what they would expect. And you can be LinkedIn everywhere else. You can be LinkedIn at the conferences, and in any other city, it might feel like any other business event. This is not going to be like any other business event. We are in the heart of Los Angeles, and we're going to have fun and be inspired by the people who come here to dream, and not just by a hotel conference room. We promise this is a conference room free event.
Yes, I hate those. And you're always freezing in there. And at the end of the day,
you won't freeze in here.
We're a little sweaty, Betty. It's a warm day here in LA. But you know what? We are here for the sunshine. Like bring the light into your business. Bring it on. Get ready to roll up your sleeves and do what you need to do to show up. And as I always say, shine. What does it take to shine? Starting right now, being brave and courageous, often pushing out of your comfort zone. When I initially invested in my demo reel, by the way, we don't sell those, but when I did, I had to put my big girl panties on. I had to swallow a big pill. It was very expensive, but the payback has been absolutely priceless. It was the right decision, listening to the right person. And, as you were talking, Blair, I was kind of thinking about all the mistakes I've made through the years. And I think it was not recognizing that money loves speed, that I hesitated and choked on big expenditures. But when I finally up-leveled my website, and when I finally recognized I needed to outsource my social media, and I finally realized that I needed a little help with my travel schedule, I can't do everything and be everything. And honestly, finding that tribe, and that's what we want to create, of trusted professionals and partners that just takes the guesswork out, the stress out. It's not easy doing what we do. And literally any profession runs into this problem. We want not only to stand out from the competition, but it gets to be fun. That's a big part of what I teach when I get on stages, is that life can be really hard. What's the saying? The only thing certain is death and taxes in life. Well, if that's true, I want to go down laughing and being the kindest, most loving, generous person that I can be. And if you've got a gift, and I'm going to say this straight to you at home, and you are keeping it to yourself, that is selfish. And you have greatness in you. And I think you have a lot of superpowers, Blair, that we're, almost underestimating. And if I had a superpower, I would think, mom or clients and friends would say, it's seeing what people aren't putting forward that is great inside of them. And I think you and I share that passion. Mm-hmm. But you also have this gift of seeing not only how to share it, But really, let it be the gift that keeps giving, not only for others, but let it return to you in big ways. And we've talked about expanding this into a mastermind, bringing in and creating these speaker showcases where real life agents and bureaus are not just something that you wish and hope to connect with, but people in the audience. I recently went and did one in the middle of the Midwest. I didn't know what to expect. And I was thrilled that a bureau that wasn't even there that saw the video reached out to me. You don't know who's going to see that video. You don't know who's going to be in your audience, but you've got to be in it to win it, as my mother always says, right?
Totally.
So what do you think is a big myth? I think there are many, that people who want to up-level their assets or be a really highly paid keynote speaker think that just isn't simply true.
Right. Well, and first of all, you don't need to be paying $20,000, $30,000 for your first speaker reel.
So
That's
true.
completely unreasonable. Never spend more than what you've actually earned on a keynote or expect to earn from at least one keynote if you're going to invest in something like that. It should be a marketing asset that really, again, can suit your budget and suit the level that you're at. So I think a myth of having the most expensive reel is the thing that you need is not true. You just need quality content. You need to be able to represent yourself, and you can always upgrade that as you go. I think another myth is that you need bureaus just to get attention in the paid speaking space. Bureaus are a great partner to have in the paid speaking space. They are brokers for most of the corporate buyers, for the associations, for a lot of the market. But they're not the only ones who buy speakers. There's a lot of companies, and Meredith knows, that come to her directly. There's tons of people that work directly with speakers all day long. You need to be really informed about the industry from all aspects, all of the different opportunities and all the different paths that you may have as a business owner and entrepreneur to succeed, and bureaus are just going to be one part of that. There's something that you've been talking about then that I also wanted to bring up that makes us different with the Hollywood experience. To your point, making it fun, building a community, is that we are really going to pour into you in advance of this weekend as well. So there's 3 calls to prepare you for the 3 different segments that we're shooting. You're going to do a live interview with Meredith so we can get some really great footage of you being interviewed kind of like this. It won't look exactly like this, but it will be a setup where you're going to be able to tell your story. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Things that you wouldn't say on stage, things that you might not say even directly to camera on your social media, but that Meredith is going to get out of you and get some great stuff. Then you're also going to have the opportunity to film some content just straight to camera. I'm going to be coaching you through that. We're going to be working on the messages that we want to make sure we can get across, and just building out some great content that you can then use again on your social media, in your different marketing assets. And then finally, we're going to have you all do your own TED Talk. We're going to have a little showcase at the end where you all going to get to film a 15-minute straight through TED Talk. Again, another amazing asset that you'll be able to use to market yourself as a speaker, and that we're going to help you in advance and make sure that you're prepped for before. Tell us a little bit more, Meredith, about how you intend to get people prepared, what I'm going to be doing.
Yes, I think
don't
that's great.
That's probably really scary. Whatever I just said was like, wow, we're going to do all that in one weekend.
Yeah.
Tell them how it's not that scary.
No, first of all, I've been doing the Meredith TV show for years, which is very similar to the Hollywood experience. So I have a system to help you not only master your messaging, but understand what connects and converts. So I think a lot of people understand clearly what they do, but they can't articulate it quickly. So we do sessions to really get you there. We have worksheets, and we have really a great opportunity for you to hone in on what you need. Like, honestly, Blair, so many speakers, no matter what it is that you do in your industry, they literally can't articulate in 1 or 2 sentences, and it's such a missed opportunity, the problem that they solve. If I help people speak up, stand out, and shine against the competition, people are pretty clear that I'm going to teach them what it takes to do that. And we all need that, especially, it doesn't even matter if you don't own your own company. If how we do anything is how we do everything, I want to have a 10 out of 10 relationship with my son and knock it out of the park as a business owner, right? So these principles can be applied personally and professionally. And if we're interested in doing anything, why not level up? The other thing that I think is really fun is we have the best of the best resources hands-on for you. So you'll have a consult with a stylist. We actually have a team of stylists, hair and makeup artists that work with you in advance to get to know you in a process to get ready. And then the day of, we have amazing hair and makeup, award-winning Hollywood hair and makeup, which is super cool. And that matters. Again, I'm going to take my Spanx off as soon as this ends and breathe well. But the minute that you're in front of camera, you want to do your best to show up as your best. And, I'm not an advocate for Spanx, but I think it's a funny ha-ha because everybody can relate. Some people say, I'll do this when I lose 10 pounds. That used to be me. Or when I'm ready to be ready. You're never going to feel ready. So why not go for it anyway? And I'm not a fan, as Blair said, of overspending or overextending yourself, but making smart choices. And I think what's really nice is having seasoned people like ourselves come together is helping you differentiate for what you can invest in that makes sense and what you might not want to, or even better, who you should work with and who may not have the best reputation. Sadly, we run into that. And people make expensive mistakes and then they come to us and we say, it's okay, this happens all the time, don't feel bad about it. But we do want to advocate for them to find really good people who not only care, but are high integrity and really deliver a good product or service. And at the end of the day, I think if we don't invest a lot of time and energy into what we're doing intentionally in the world, we kind of wind up lost in that hamster wheel. And, statistics show, to your point, Blair, most people are just living their lives. And that's not a point of judgment. But we're calling on those people who may be living their lives, but see something bigger, better for them, for their families, for their futures. And those are the people I want to break bread with. We want to take you out to dinner. We want to pour into you all the things we wish we knew. And that's why I keep getting hired to coach. And I know it's the same for you. It's like people don't want to learn on the fly the hard way. They want to move forward faster. And I'm not ashamed to open up and say that one of the most interesting things that happens is when you are really working from your heart and passion, it's like the floodgates open. A clear example of that is the young lady who I coached for this recent huge win for a major public speaking contest. She just posted on LinkedIn and tagged me. I've already had multiple people sign up and ask me to coach them. That is the kind of attraction marketing we hope and wish for all of you. And sometimes we don't see it coming, and it isn't always that easy. But I think when you do good work and you put your heart and soul into lifting others up, that's kind of amazing. There's literally no other reward greater than when you do not only what you love, but you help somebody run down their dream. What do you find most rewarding, Blair?
I mean, exactly that. I was going to say that I think the biggest thing that bothers me at times in this industry is when people listen to the advice of someone who hasn't spent the time with them. That I know you and I tend to go really deep with our clients, really try to truly understand, get to the bottom of what makes them special and unique. And a lot of times I hear from people, well, I had a session with this one coach and they said XYZ. And they take that to be a direction that might determine their business. And after sitting with them and maybe even in a short conversation, talking through maybe other ideas, they're lit up with possibility of not being beholden to this one idea they're not sure of, or that someone they felt kind of was put upon them. And they feel like, well, this person's such an expert, why would I, go against them? And I just want people to take the time for themselves and arrive at it, because you'll know if you haven't found your message yet. You'll know if it hasn't gotten there yet. But you really want someone who does the work to get there with you and doesn't just say, oh, we're going to figure this out in the first hour, no problem. Sometimes it takes more time to do the things, and sometimes things move real fast.
True, but I always prefer, and I think you're the same, to go deep. Surface conversations about the weather are great and good, but they're not for me. At this point in my career in life, I want to be of service in my entire mission and in my being. I'm not here to just hang out. I'm here to help people be extraordinary at whatever they can do. And anything that I can do to help lights me up. It gets me up in the morning, and happy to be sitting here sweating under these beautiful studio lights with you today. And really, it's a joy. And I think at the end of the day, if we are very honest with ourselves and we take it, you might be sitting at home thinking, I hate what I'm doing. Great. It's a great moment to be brave and let it go and walk away. I cannot tell you how many times in life I felt tested. I worked in television for ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, and I didn't love it because eventually, after looking into the camera and just getting so bored by the time you make it onto the anchor desk, like literally rewriting scripts that were written for me because I had nothing else to do, looking at the camera, it was soul sucking. Not to mention, for me, fires and murders with a side of kidnapping on the evening news, not so enjoyable. So that's why I created the Meredith TV show, which is where we invented the Hollywood experience from. I've been hosting my own TV show for over a decade, which is really not common. It launched on NBC because I wanted happy news. I share stories of how people shine through courage and after they've overcome adversity, because I think that's what the world wants to hear. They don't want to hear about death, destruction, and the horror that is going on in the world. There is so much darkness out there. Why not choose to be the light? So, I would say, as we round out our conversation, Blair, it's an honor to find somebody like you here in LA. They say Holly weird, they say La La Land for LA, but I have found that if you hang with the right people, it unlocks a really beautiful, amazing, not only life, but career. But you have to choose it.
Yeah, and that's the Hollywood experience, again, that we're creating. That's the Hollywood experience that you and I have glimpsed and felt at times, but something that we are fully prepared to share with all of you.
Yes, and to that note, we are just about out of time today, but we would love for you to email our team at hello@themeredithshow.com and let us know if you or somebody you know is looking to get out there, be more visible, connect, convert, and attract the right clients, and level up your game so that you can be seen, heard, and of course, hired. It is such a joy to be with you, Blair, and to be coming with you in this studio. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And most of all, thank you for your bravery and courage. We know you know somebody out there who's doing something amazing. Don't just keep it to yourself. Take a little time and share the love.